Good evening, and welcome. Tonight we travel to Nome, Alaska, to the vast white where distance is measured not in miles but in silence. 3 lifelong friends set out for a simple weekend. A tent on the flats, a stove's small warmth, the old watchtower near the coast for a second night's shelter. What they found instead was a hum with no source, a craft that wore the sky like a mask, and a figure that should not stand upon the earth. Only one returned to tell it. This is the Nome Alaska Files. We file this under the Watchtower Thing. I grew up about an hour east of Nome, in a village you wouldn't know unless you lived there. That Friday afternoon, Sam, Miguel and I pointed our snowmobiles west toward the open, a long, pale run of tundra between home and Nome. We'd packed enough to feel invincible. Canvas tent, fuel, bacon, beans, coffee, a little whiskey, and the kind of good humor that makes men lie to themselves about weather. We chose a shelf of ground near a wind-ribbed ridge and made camp the way our fathers taught us. Sam drove stakes, like he meant to keep the world from shaking loose. Miguel strung a drying line between poles and hung gloves, like small, defeated birds. I cut a circle in the snow for the stove. When the bacon went on, the smell rose like a memory you can eat. We ate with our gloves still on and talked about people we hadn't seen in years as if they might walk up out of that flat. Dark came the way it always does out there. No sunset, just a slow dimming until the world felt like an unlit room. Inside the tent the stove ticked, and we sat bootless and satisfied, whiskey lettering warmth behind our ribs. I was halfway through a story about Sam startling a seal near safety when I felt something in my teeth. Not a sound at first, a pressure, thin, exact, like a coin spinning on a plate just behind my ears. Then it settled into a tone, a clean, surgical hum. The 3 of us stopped talking at once. We listened the way you listen when you're waiting for a second heartbeat. We stepped outside with our headlamps. The wind had gone slack. The flats lay blank and honest, no tracks but our own. The hum didn't come from the stove or the generator. Both sat dark. It wasn't the sky and it wasn't the ground. It was everywhere, a wire strung through bone and thought. Then it cut off, simple as a switch. We laughed like men do when the thing they feared decides not to raise its head. We were still laughing when we heard something else. Crunch, pause, crunch, circling the tent. Headlamps found nothing. The snow held its face. We secured the perimeter because it made our hands steady, then crawled into our bags. Sleep came late. When it did, the hum seemed to hang in my jaw like a leftover word. Light woke us wrong. Not the dim grey of a winter morning, but the bleached glare of afternoon. My watch said nearly 2. Sam sat up, rubbing his temples. Miguel's nose had bled a long red ribbon across his cheek and pillow. He stared at it like he didn't know whose face it belonged to. We blamed the whiskey, because men need a reason even when they don't have one. Coffee, bacon, eggs, familiar heat to shove back the unease. The headaches eased, the jokes returned, thin as ice. Tower's only another hour, Sam said. The old coast watchtower near Nome, 4 stories of steel and windows on every side. Better shelter than canvas. Miguel wanted to pack it in and head east. I sided with Sam. We came for a story, I said, not knowing the story had already chosen us. The ride west bit through coats and settled in the meat of our faces. The tundra spread like a white map no one had finished drawing. Our machines coughed in the deeper drifts and steadied when the wind crust held. Far off, the black tooth of the tower rose from the flats. Inside, the stairs shivered under our boots. The top floor opened into a ring of glass. The old stove still bolted to the deck. A bench beneath a window, scored with knife initials older than our names. We lit a fire, coaxed the generator into a steady cough, set a small TV on a crate to pretend the world was still ours. By early evening we were warm, fed, and almost foolish enough to feel safe. The hum came back. It pressed at the windows like a hand. The glass trembled a little in their frames. Miguel winced and dabbed at a fresh bleed. Sam swore and ground his knuckles into his brow. I felt it in my molars, and the place at the base of the skull where factory noise lives. I went to the south window and looked out because you must always look. At first only the honest distances of snow and ridge. Then something above us took shape, like a blot pressed into the sky. Not a plane, not a helicopter, not anything the mind can catalogue. All black and translucent, as if someone had taught shadow to hold its breath. Through it, stars dimmed and swam. The horizon bent like heat over asphalt. The craft drifted over the tower without sound. The hum climbed until the windows flirted with a rattle and our vision frayed at the edges. Miguel wiped his nose and came away red. Sam hunched and cursed words he'd inherited from men who never meant them for this. I tasted metal without bleeding. For a breath, it felt like the thing would lay itself over us and press us flat. Then, the way smoke thins in a wind, it stretched and was gone. No contrail, no shadow moving away, just sky and the hum stepping down by grudges. We were still finding our breaths when Sam stiffened at the south glass, binoculars up. "There," he said. I took the glass and felt the weight of being seen. Far off a figure stood, impossibly thin, gloss black, drinking the light. Head tilted, no face to speak of, and yet it looked. When my eyes settled on it, the headache returned sharp. The world bent a degree around its outline. We closed the curtains and tried to be men again. It's hard work, and we weren't equal to it. It stayed for hours. Sometimes I'd lift the binoculars, and it would be exactly where I left it, as if distance meant nothing to a thing that didn't walk so much as arrive. Other times, it would have stolen a few yards closer while I looked away, the way night steals heat from stone. The surface of it was wrong. Not cloth, not flesh. Gloss black, like obsidian gone soft, a mirror that preferred your shadow. When wind touched it, tiny ripples ran across it as if across a held puddle. Its edges blurred when my focus settled. My eyes fought to know where it ended and cold began. Its head tilted at an angle that would have broken a human neck. No eyes, no mouth, still the certainty of being watched. The hum returned in pulses. With each swell, pressure gathered behind my eyes until the room narrowed. Miguel bent to the stove and whispered liquido like a man shaking the hinge of a new truth. Sam, who measures the world in fixes and parts, said, "It's not walking. It's just here, then here near dusk." A second movement joined the first, but not another watcher. A flicker of black upon the snow near the base of the tower, there and gone like a blink you almost catch. The thin one never changed posture, but the sense of circling grew, the way birds know when a hawk is above and say nothing, and everything says hawk. We barred the stairwell because it gave us something to do. Crates, fuel cans, a dead locker that still had 2 rusted hinges. The generator droned, then faltered, then caught. When the hum climbed again, the little TV shuddered and bled its blues across glass. Miguel took my sleeve and left a faint red comet, where his nose kept betraying him. By full dark, the thin one had moved closer, so close I could see light bend along its side like moon on a blade. I pressed my forehead to the chill pane and felt the tower listening with me. "Don't stare," Miguel said softly. "It likes that." I looked anyway. Fear is a kind of staring. For hours, there was only one. One tall, liquid black watcher that erased distance without feet. We told ourselves height was shield enough. We were wrong. It began to climb. Not like a man, no searching for rungs, no pull of muscle. Its limbs flowed, stretching and folding along the tower's steel, like poured tar given purpose. Where it touched, the frame complained, as if weight had arrived without mass. The thing rose with a calm that made my hands absurd. Its head reached our window first, then the slick slope of shoulder. Gloss drank our lantern light and returned it colder. It leaned, and the pane bowed inward, a slow, steady arc like a drum, finding the note it wanted. The sound it made wasn't a knock, but a pressure note. A low shove that vibrated in sternum and teeth. Sam snapped. He'd been white-knuckled around that rifle for hours, trying to be the kind of man a rifle believes in. He set his feet, brought the sights level, and fired point blank. The glass blew outward. The watcher jerked back. No cry, no blood. A section of its body sloughed free, a slick black mass tumbling to the snow below with a slow, sick thud. The rest of it melted down out of sight, limbs flowing, clinging to steel until it disappeared beneath the lip. We stared through smoke and breath at the dark on the snow. The fallen piece writhed. It spread like oil, then gathered itself, folding and rising by inches, into a new shape. Shorter, squat, legs jointed wrong like broken stilts, same light-drinking skin, same polished obsidian look, a different silhouette entirely. Above the original clung to the tower wall, unkilled, unslowed. Limbs splayed as if resting between breaths it didn't take. Two of them now, the tall father thing and the new spawn finding its feet. Sam lowered the rifle as understanding set its hook. "We didn't kill it," he said, voice dry. "We just made another." Miguel shook his head hard, nose bleeding anew. "No more shots," he said. "You hear me? No more. Every bullet is another mouth." We stood in a snow-cold draft, looking through a broken window at a field that had learned to answer. And somewhere beneath our boots the hum climbed again, as if pleased by our lesson. We stacked what we could against the stairwell, because men must do something with their hands. The tower groaned. The hum made ribs into tuning forks. Outside, the tall one slid out of sight, and the new squat thing paced the drifts with careful tapping steps, as if mapping us in sound. A long sigh rose from below, the bolts at the base door taking a lesson they didn't want. Metal screamed once and then stopped. The silence after was not peace. It was a held breath. Miguel edged to the broken window despite himself. He peered out, breath fogging the shards. "Gone," he whispered. "I don't see." A black arm, not jointed but flowing, slid across the frame and caught him by the chest. Miguel's cry cut through me. He was yanked out and away, with a speed that felt like a decision the world had already made. Glass sang. His body folded wrong, and then was in the dark. The hum swallowed his voice. Sam fired on reflex 3-4 times into snow and shape. Each shot birthed movement, glossy pieces writhing, rising, taking on bent forms. I grabbed his shoulder and shouted, "But grief makes its own captain." By the time the rifle clicked empty, the field below had several more of the squat things, testing their legs. Then the stairwell gave, our barricade tearing down the throat of the tower, with a scream of metal and wood. Sam dropped the rifle and drew his sidearm out of some old habit. He looked at me once, eyes bright as coins in a well. "Run," he said. I ran. The last of Sam I knew was the bark of his pistol, and a sound that ended too quickly. The tower's door spat me into wind like a mouth ejecting a seed. I ran east, toward a road I had never loved until that night, legs remembering distances my mind did not. The humming followed like a wire through my jaw. Shapes moved at the edges of sight, too many now to count. Once I looked back and saw them glide. The tall father thing and its new brood, glossy bodies rippling, faceless heads tilted as if memorizing my weight. I did not look twice. Some lessons you only take once if you wish to keep your name. A truck's headlights found me near the road. Some hunter heading home, the kind of man who knows when to stop for another man who looks broken. He wrapped me in his coat and turned the heat high and called people with badges and people with medicine. I tried to say Sam and Miguel, and tower and hum, but the words came out like ice cracking. They found the Watchtower later. They found gear, prints that argued with each other, a smear on the snow that didn't melt right. They did not find my friends. The official story will say weather, misadventure, perhaps a fall. Men like their tragedies simple. The snow likes its secrets whole. I carry what's left. Some nights the hum returns thin as thread. My teeth remember and the fillings sing. I don't go out alone. I don't look too long at horizons. And if you ever camp near Nome, and a sound you cannot place settles into your bones, leave. Do not shoot unless you want more of what waits. If a tall, liquid black figure takes the edge of the world and tilts its head as if to listen, do not gift it your gaze. It likes being seen. And so, on the frozen edge of Nome, 3 friends set out for warmth and story, and found a harvest that multiplied with every attempt to cut it down. The watchtower still stands. The snow keeps its counsel. But there are nights, so I'm told, when the air hums and the glass in its panes shivers just a little. If you hear it, remember this file, and do not linger. This has been the Watchtower Thing. If you enjoyed our tale this evening, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Late Night Horror Stories and True Crime for more terrifying tales in the dark. We will see you soon. Good night.